So, hey, you, welcome to Relish Every Word. This is a little bit of a stretch for me. We're not playing games today. We're actually creating an online writers club. It's our first one, so we're still feeling out, what we're going to need to do, what we want to share, that sort of thing. Now, part of, I think what we need to do is actually talk about the mechanics of writing. I've got books like this, Elements of Storytelling. If you don't have this book and you think you want to be a writer, just go buy it. It's little, it's cheap, it kind of cuts through all the crap, and it's some really, really good stuff in it. If you're thinking about being a writer, we'll be using books like this. I've got a massive library on writing. We'll be going through different things. There'll be a little bit of grammar, how do we punch up a sentence? What makes a good sentence? What makes a good paragraph? We'll play around with things like that. And the scary part is that some of us are going to be reading our work out. Now, if you want to be a part of this, you'll have to let me know. We'll get you into Raid Call. There is a group in Raid Call right now. We've got Niralosa, Ava Cameron, myself, Spongy, Wicked Fairy, and Haig Yorkie are here today. And I'm hoping, Haig Yorkie, I know, has something he should be reading. And I'm hoping some of these others do as well. This is only going to be a 45-minute thing. And when you do a reading, it's going to be small pieces, a page or two sort of thing. We'll take it in little bits. I'm really hoping for some honest opinions from you guys. I didn't understand what you were talking about. Take notes, guys. Get yourself a piece of paper and say, the car did what? I have no idea what you were talking about. I don't know what you were trying to get. My head was kind of drifting through that paragraph after that. Those are the things we need to know, because if we want to be real life writers, we have to be good at it. So I don't want you here flattering me or flattering anybody else. Now, saying I don't like mysteries, whatever. Who cares? We want specifics, okay? That sort of thing. So let me just check on one little thing here. Yeah, everything's running. That's good. And I lose stuff. Okay. So to get this started, let's just talk about the basics of storytelling for a minute. If you want to write a story, if you want to write a novel, short story, an essay, it really doesn't matter what it is. There's two big things you can't do without. You need description, and we need dialogue. Dialogue gets us into people's heads and lets us know what's going on. And we need description, so we've got some kind of image in our head as to where these people are. If we just have two people talking and there's no setting and there's nothing, we're kind of lost. We're feeling uncomfortable. Things are not going to feel really good. So we need those descriptions. And we need concrete descriptions. We need words. Verbs are always better than adjectives. Adjectives. We don't want to be saying, the guy ran really quickly and fast. We want to say he dashed. It makes it a lot stronger. It gets a better image. So we have less words, but they're stronger words. And you need to get description everywhere. Every paragraph, every page has got to have something that engages our senses. So we don't want to be, saying, it was really hot and the temperature was so warm, and, talk about all the heat things. We want to talk about the smells. Is the wind blowing? What does the gravel feel like on our bare feet? What are we, we're brushing up against something, or, you were cold and you went like, what does the material feel like? You want to give some very concrete things. And it's a lot to think about. So we're just going to talk about that today. We need dialogue, we need description. Make your descriptions count. I was talking to somebody recently about, they had sent me some stuff, and they had said the guy was really hungry. Well, all I learned from the guy was really hungry is that the narrator is telling me what he thinks the guy is feeling. I'm not inside the man's head. I don't know him. I don't have a connection to him. The only person I'm meeting is the narrator. And I want to, if the guy's really hungry, then it would be better if we get in his head and we hear about how his stomach is cramping and he's weak and he's got a headache and he's got all these things going on. Then we get to know who the guy is by how he reacts to that. Is he afraid? Is he lonely? Is he pissed off because he's hungry? Like, we get to know who he is by feeling what he feels and then seeing how he reacts to it. So then we start to care about why that man's hungry. Then we want to flip the page and find out what's going on. So having said that, anybody in the group got something to say? Do it.
No, I mean, you've pretty much covered it there. The verbs and adjectives, massive part of the of writing a story. Also, the thing that I like to do is right at the start of the story, if you can't grab somebody in the first paragraph, you're doing something wrong. You need to do it right then in the first paragraph. If you got through the first chapter, if it's not good enough, people are just going to put it down.
Absolutely.
That's one thing that I am a big, strong believer in. That first line, I always like to do something big.
And you know what? An absolute master at the first sentence is Stephen King. Now, I'll be honest, I find I like him a lot. I find sometimes he goes a little too far in the gross me out area, and I don't always like his endings. Sometimes I feel the endings are kind of weak. I feel like I've been a little bit let down somehow occasionally, but man, the first sentence, you want to know what a good sentence is? Read anything by Stephen King. That man can grab you right by the throat and go like, wow. And you read the rest of the book because the first sentence got you so strong, even if the rest is crap, you're going to read it anyway because you can't dare put it down because you need to know, what happened based on it. He's brilliant. You know what? I will start trying to dig up books that have examples of the kind of things we'll be talking about each week. So
there's a paragraph in a William Gibson book that I think is brilliant.
There you go. And paragraphs. There, a writer, she only did about 6 or 7 novels. Caroline Graham. She has a book. I think it's called "Faithful Until Death." The first paragraph of that book makes me so happy. To me, it is like the best first paragraph ever written. Wow. I will try to dig that sucker up and read it to you next time because it's good. It's really, really good. So, so what do we have in? Let's see. Always, what do we have? Describe the 5 senses. Yes, instead of, saying the guy was very cold, talk about, the goosebumps on his skin, or like I said, how the wool feels when he pulls something around him to stay warm, how it's scratchy, or, the biting of the wind and the smell of the cold and things like that. So definitely, the more senses you engage, the deeper the person is in that scene. So Stephen King does not live in the same universe as we do. No, he doesn't. But man, can he write a first line? Yes, leaving drunk and disorderly gaming. Oh, that sounds like fun.
Oh, that's a fun name.
It is. It's brilliant. We want to leave a lot. We don't want to answer too many questions at first at all. If we answer all the questions in the first page, we don't have any reason to finish the book. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, hey, Yorkie, you're going to be reading something for us today?
Oh, you see, the thing is, the short story that I've got, I've said to you earlier, it's not how I would want it.
Okay.
It needs more. I don't mind. I'll read the first paragraph. I'm proud of the first paragraph. I like the first paragraph.
But
all the rest of it needs that. What you say, it needs the description. It needs more to it. And I don't think the short story aspect of this particular story does the whole story justice. I might need to make it bigger.
Then read the first paragraph. Get us hooked, and we'll look for more next week.
Shall do. It's the short story itself is called Sensatus Litem, which actually is Latin for intelligent evil.
Intelligent evil. Awesome. Yeah. I like it. That's good.
And I'll put a link actually to where it is in the Twitch in a second when I finished it. But chapter 1, Handing Me the World. I was only a boy of 11 when my father gave me the world. And I actually mean that in the literal sense. He did give me an entire world. A set of them, actually. I didn't know much about it back then, but it was to become one of the journeys of a lifetime. An exciting mass of intrigue, loyalty, betrayal, and best of all, danger. And that's just a tiny little, that's the first part.
That's a good first paragraph. He handed me the worlds, and it's like, oh, okay,
wait,
okay, what? You kind of, you get this idea in your head, and then it gets slammed out, and then, everything shifts, and you've got this whole universe literally opens up in front of you, and then it's like, I want to know why. That's quite good. That is quite good.
Yeah.
Miss Carsonell, you missed writing. Well, here's the chance to start. So you know what? Maybe we should be giving each other homework. Next week, write a paragraph that describes something nice, that really pulls us in. Just 3 or 4 sentences. It doesn't have to be a lot. but that gets us inside the head of the person experiencing something. Tell us he's hungry. Tell us he's cold. Tell us he's angry. Tell us he's whatever he, she, it is. But let us feel it. Let us get it from the point of view of the person experiencing it, and get those real solid words in there. So, yeah, absolutely. That would be brilliant. So anybody who wants to participate next week, you have homework. Yorkie.
Wow. No pressure.
No pressure. So, or take your second paragraph and do that to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fix it till you're happy.
So my reasons for doing this, I'm going to get really selfish here because I do have a reason for doing this, and it's a scary one for me. I have the first draft of a book completed. Lots and lots and lots of papers. I have a first draft. It's crap because all first drafts are crap. That's what a first draft is. It's here is a pile of crap. Can it become a book? Okay. I am hoping, my intent, let's go stronger than hope. My intent is that having to meet with you guys once a week is going to force me to start taking the crap and using the different things that we're talking about in here, like description, like dialogue, whatever it is that's coming up over the next weeks and months to come. Use those things to actually make this a completed novel. So I want something finished. I'm hoping there's somebody else out there. Yorkie, maybe you're the one. Now, having read Yorkie's short story, I think that story deserves a novel, and I'm voting novel all the way.
Yeah.
And I hope that is something we can, we can take that. And Mr. Potato Chip, then here, not to be lazy. Get some homework. Get some things done.
My first draft is always my last draft.
So I'm going to read the prologue to this book. I'm asking for your indulgence. Okay, I'm feeling really creepy here. Okay.
She's been nervous for a while today, guys.
Aww. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. This will be the first public thing with this book, with this particular book. There's a few of my little short bits on fantasy things, introducing characters and stuff that are out there on the internet, and they've been out there for years. This will be the first time anybody's heard this. So who's here today? Who's here?
There's like 38 people watching.
38 people. And I was hoping 2 or 3 of you would show up. Thank you for being here. Oh my God, you're scary. So the book is called Triage. This has been in the works for a great many years. I actually wrote a first draft of this book about 15 years ago, and a very unpleasant person threw it away. So I was starting over again, and it has a very, very long evolution. It has changed completely from what it was. But I still think it's got some possibilities. So, all right, I'm going to read the prologue of Triage. Maybe.
Deep breath.
Deep breath and breathe. I can do
Quit
this.
stalling.
What's that?
I said quit stalling.
I know, I'm just doing it. Okay, just do it.
Take a drink of your wine. Take a deep breath.
As the taxi pulled into the parking lot, crowded with vehicles in early autumn sunshine, the passenger had no way of knowing that even though he was there an hour early, he was already too late. He knew things were bad, of course. He'd known that for centuries. No, I've got the wrong. Nope, I'm sorry. This is not the right.
Not the part you wanted to read?
Nope. There we go. Okay. See, I'd already made some changes. See?
She lied.
I already made some changes today. And that's when you realize, you start tweaking things. That's what we need to do. So I'm starting over. I'm sorry, guys. As the taxi pulled into the parking lot, crowded with vehicles in early autumn sunshine, the passenger had no way of knowing that even though he was there an hour early, he was already too late. He knew things were bad, of course. He'd known that for what felt like centuries. But he didn't know she was already dead. He didn't know she'd lost her very last battle while he sat calmly waiting at a traffic light, watching a young girl pick flowers from a municipal flower bed. The driver slowed to a stop as close to the front door as he could manage, and his passenger opened the door, stepped into the balmy morning, and simply stood there looking up as the taxi drove away behind him. The hospital rose in square, reassuring solidness before him, a comforting symbol of solutions found and help rendered. His chest lifted in a deep sigh. So much for symbols. He lowered his eyes and stood straighter, mentally anyway, and started walking toward the building. The crowd of smokers huddled near the front door stared back defiantly or dropped their eyes in shame as he frowned in their direction and ran their gauntlet of noxious air. Inside, the smells changed and took on the air-conditioned tastelessness deemed correct for this setting. He chose to ignore the underlying hints of greenery, antiseptic, and decay. Down polished halls, around tastefully painted corners, up gleaming steel stairways, he traversed the familiar route. On the first floor, the new blonde receptionist smiled large and waved her regular greeting. She was working out nicely, he thought. People liked her and appreciated her never-ending patience. She had an inborn kindness that really helped the people that needed it most. On the third floor, the small, dark-haired volunteer, Molly, gave him a tight little smile that did more to hide her teeth than show them, and dropped her gaze and walked a little quicker in passing him. She was another of those rare people that make the world a better place for having them in it, he thought. There had been many days when he'd found himself grateful for Molly's chatter and help. Molly had time for everyone, always. No time to chat today, he wondered with an inward smile. The world still held surprises after all. And then he froze. As he listened to Molly's hurried footsteps recede down the hall, his skin became taut and hardened and fought to contain his rising heartbeat and the iron constriction growing in his throat. Be still. Stay quiet. Don't move. What would happen if he gave in? Would he shatter and crumble and dust up the hallway? His jaw clenched tighter and tighter. His hands formed fists at his sides. Breathe. Be still. Now focus. Move one foot. Move the other. Walk slowly. Move in the right direction. Don't think. Just walk. As he neared room 329, the head nurse walked out of it and saw him approaching. She stopped in the doorway to watch him draw nearer. You could tell already, she thought. He knew. She'd seen that so often and still wondered at how it happened. People walked in here day after day, visiting and chatting and being needfully cheerful. And then one day they got a few yards down the hall and suddenly they just knew there was no one left to visit. She hated it. She hated their sure knowledge and their clinging hope as they continued to walk down the hall, trying to tell themselves they were just tired or edgy, that it hadn't really happened. Not yet. Not today. They would pretend their lives were still the same until someone sat them down and told them clearly otherwise. In spite of the fact that their muscles were bunched to bursting and their guts were churning and fear was running wild and violent behind their eyes. As he came closer, she stepped toward him. Their eyes met and she reached out a hand to touch his arm. I'm sorry, sir. She's gone. She died just a few minutes ago. She never woke up from last night. It was quiet. He nodded once, his eyes locked on her face but unfocused. His throat worked and tried to make sounds, but ultimately he said nothing. Then he looked for one long moment past the nurse and into the room beyond at the small, wasted form lying motionless on the bed. He turned slowly, striving to contain the raging maelstrom building in his mind, and carefully, purposely, made his familiar way out of the building.
Awesome.
Wow. I don't know whether to feel... I know what there. That was well read. Very, very well read.
Well read,
Yeah.
but was it well written?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Very good.
Needs to be well written to be well read.
That does help. Yeah.
So comments, were there parts you didn't understand? Were there parts you liked? Were there something it's like, I have no idea what she was saying there? See, I can see a few, as I was reading, I'm going, oh, I have to change that word. Oh my God, that's so stupid. But anyway.
Well, I can tell you what tells me a book is great is if I can, when I'm reading it, my mind makes a video. I see what's being read, and I could see that, and I wanted to cry.
Oh, crying is good. Yes.
Wow, there are plenty
Yeah,
in the chat.
I like the shift in perspective from the man and then to the nurse.
Yes, that
It was
too.
really good.
Okay, well, thank you, guys. I'm okay. So this is the prologue. This will be the end of that for a while. Then we'll go into the, the actual body of the story, and then hopefully somewhere down the line, this will start to make sense and become something. A little overly verbose. See, now that's coming from a teacher. So you know what I would like you to tell me, Prof, is actually what part, like. That's fine to say, but give me a spot. Like what part? What should I be fixing? What part do I tidy up? I need words.
You thought that was overly verbose. I'm probably not going to ever read anything I've written to him.
Well, and there sometimes there are. Like I said, this is first draft stuff. I've fixed it a little bit, but honestly. This is pretty much how it came the first writing, so a couple of stiff spots. Yeah, and again, which ones? If you guys have an idea of where those are, you can send me messages here through Twitch if you want. I would like to know, like what part what do I cut? What do I tidy up? So I've gotten I've gotten that same, one says stiff, so more, and one says there was too many words basically in some places, and I'd really love to know like what that is, like specifically. That would be awesome. That would be really awesome, because that's what I'm here for. I want honest opinions about that would be good. Breathing, yes, I'll get around to breathing, lady. The book is done. The book is, I have first draft. It is a completed novel. Yeah, it's just got to be made into, most of it's a lot worse than this, actually. Some of it, you're just writing fast, trying to remember what it is you want to do, and, it's crap. I mean, first drafts are always crap, so.
You do need to hear all the good stuff, though. I mean, Born Naked was saying I was totally lost there in the story.
Thank you.
You described the tension well. I was able to paint a picture. There was something else that I lost it a second ago.
Said it was deep.
Yeah. And there was another one I wanted to read, but I just lost it.
Okay.
I'll find it in a sec. Oh, Ray says I liked all the foreshadowing early on, and the death was a good hook. I thought it'd be a murder, so I'm glad the story surprised me. But yeah, there's some pretty good feedback here.
Okay. And thank you. You've made me feel really good. It's a little bit less scary than it was an hour ago. Not a lot, but a little bit. And and yes, this is being recorded. I'll be putting it on YouTube as soon as we're done here today. So, there are people who won't be able to make it. Now, I am finding that we have a fair number of people who really want to be part of this that will never be able to make it at this time of day. Mm-hmm. So I may be doing 2 weeks at this time, 2 weeks on another day. I'm not really sure how to go about doing that, but check for the times, because I may shift them occasionally to let some other people in. So, yeah, that would be nice. Verbally thick spots off the top of my head. I'm used to editing on paper. You know what? Maybe what I will do. Where could I post this?
Yeah, Ray was wondering too if you're going to be posting it anywhere for them to actually read over, or just.
I'll post it someplace. I'm working on a website right now. Actually, I'll post it there, and I'll put it in the channel. I'll put a comment in the channel later today or something, wherever that's going to be. And I really would like this sentence, we have a teacher in here. That's awesome. So I want to get good at this. I actually want to be good at this. So absolutely. So is there anyone else that wanted something to read, or do you have questions about writing, or Jan Wellington, the SimCity is going to be after this. The whole Writers Club is a new thing. It's going to be just 45 minutes, half an hour, once a week, something like that. And it will be recorded, so it'll be over on discuss writer's block. Okay, yeah, writer's block. That's not something I've ever had.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, boy.
Lucky.
Writer's block is fear. To me. Now, writer's block is fear. That's we're afraid to put something down. We're looking for what's perfect. You know, you can make it perfect or you can make it good. I think you just have to write anything. And even if it means sitting down and saying, I wanted to write a story about a fairy that lived in a magical forest, but I can't think of anything, and I don't know if this is any good, and I just can't think of a darn thing to say.
I've done that.
Yeah, except, you know, well, maybe she has pink skin, or no, I think I could make it blue, and just start writing, honestly. Yeah. And then when you've said, I know I want to write about a fairy who lives in a magical forest, how can you make that different from all the other fairies that live in magical forest? You know, just start asking yourself questions. And that's all I do. Just, yeah, Mr. Potato Chip, I will. I'll post it someplace, and I'll post it on this channel. I'll upload this video, and when I figure out where it's going to be, I'll put a link to it, right in the comments, so you guys can find it. But back to the writer's block, they ask questions. Why would the fairy live in the forest? Do all fairies live in the forest? Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. What if they didn't? Why would she be in the forest in the first place? Maybe the fairies come from the desert. Okay, so we have desert fairies. I've never heard of desert fairies. Maybe that's something I could work with.
Now I want to write about desert fairies.
Now I want to write about desert fairies.
That sounds really
cool. So why would she be in the forest if they all come from the desert? How is she adapting to, you know, a more moist environment, or
she just comes up with this stuff.
You know, it just keep asking questions. Just keep asking. If you say, I want to put her in the forest, well, why? Well, because I like big trees. Okay, a lot of fairies live around the trees. How will mine be different? And it would be very different if she was a desert fairy and then she was living in the forest. Even though all the fairies that in a book I've ever read live in forests, this one's different. It's like, oh my God, why did she move? What happened? What's her backstory? Where's the tension? What drove her away? What made this choice? Is she running away from something or running to something? So just keep asking why. Well, why would I pick that? Why would I do that? How can I make it, you know, why did she move there? Why does she live there? And just, you know, and if all the fairies come from the forest, well, that's okay too. Is she going to stay in the forest? Why might she want to leave? Ooh, you know, where would she be going? So writer's block is just, to me, it's just fear. It's just, I'm afraid my idea isn't good enough, so I'm not going to say anything. Anyway.
Damien had some interesting questions.
Okay.
He's talking about the initial thing that prompts you to want to write the story. He says, so Ava, do you find your ideas come in the form of key scenes, almost fully formed, or a general theme, or is it more a character relationship, or does your inspiration always come differently? I thought that was fun.
That's good. Actually, let me think. That's a really good question. Boy, I think that'd be a good question for anybody who thinks about writing ever. Yeah. Like, how does it happen?
See, the way that it comes when I do it, when a story comes into my head, is I've always got a character first, and then the character sort of gets the story.
A lot of times, yes, absolutely, I agree.
I think that's how I have written the very few things I've written.
I agree. This one, how did this actually? See, I've got several books going on, right? This is one of. I've got 4 or 5 books in the works right now. This is one of them.
And this incarnation of this book kind of shifted over time, too. It sort
really
of took
did.
Pieces of previous novels you had started. And
okay, I can tell you what happened for one story, and I don't know if that I'll ever write this. I've written part of it. I don't know if I'll ever do anything with it, but it's kind of on the back burner, and I feel like one of these days it will happen. Here in town, where I live, in Sudbury, there was a newspaper article, this is years ago, about, how did that happen? Some man out in the West, I don't know if it was Alberta, BC, or somewhere, had gone to get his retirement, Social Security, I don't know what they call it, but his retirement thing, you know, the money, whatever you call it, your retirement fund. And he'd gone to, you know, say, I'm 65 now, I want to start getting my money every month. And they said, I'm sorry, sir, you're dead. Which has got to be a little bit of shock to a person going, really? Oh my God, what happened? But he's going, no, this is me. I've got all the proof. And they went, no, the records show that you died several years ago. And the guy had died here in Sudbury. And what had happened, and nobody to this day, that is to my knowledge, has any idea why, but some man who from wherever, had stolen this guy's, he had said his license had been stolen at one point or something. So he got, he'd gotten his ID anyway, and he'd moved here to Sudbury, and he actually had moved into a house 2 houses up from where I lived. And it was before I lived there, but he died in that house. And when he'd ended up going into the hospital, I guess he'd been really sick for a long time. He'd had a huge abscess that instead of going to get fixed, he'd actually cut a little thing from inside of a pen and stuck it in. By the time he went to the hospital, he had infection and pneumonia, and he was really, really sick. And he died like the next morning or something. He didn't have any family. Nobody knew anything about him. They registered his death. The town buried him. And I guess he had a big tattoo across his chest. So they had actually dug up his remains to see if they could figure out who this guy was. So all I know is he had stolen ID, and that rather than ever go to a hospital, he'd lived very quiet. None of the neighbors knew him. And rather than go to a hospital, he had waited till he was literally dying before he, went and did anything official. Nobody knew what he was living on, where his money came from. And it was just a couple houses up. So every time I was out walking the dog or something, I was going, oh my God, I wonder he lived there. Why would he hide? What would he be doing? What? And you got all these things going. And that actually, kind of evolved into, why would a person hide out? What if one neighbor got to know him, and then, who is he hiding from? So I got this whole story going in my head that, one girl that lived next door, they had talked about gardening over the fence, and she was the only one that knew him, and she found out that he'd actually left his house to her because he didn't have any other family, and then whoever he was hiding from, caught up with him. So now she's having to deal with this big mystery, and they think she knows something she doesn't know, and blah, 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 and it just kind of went from there. So it was just a little article in the paper, and it just snagged my head and sounded pretty cool. I still think it'd be a great story. I don't know when I'll ever have time to get to it, good. But what's that?
That sounds good, that.
Yeah.
Well, that is the classic example of having the character already there and then just asking questions,
yes.
Which goes on to what you were saying earlier about just keep asking questions.
Just keep asking. And that's all you have to do. Just keep asking. Well, why? Well, what if it were different? How could it be different? And you don't even have to say, well, what if, the fairy that lived in the forest, well, how do you make that different? That might be even too direct. You just say, what if it was different? And then your head will start thinking, like, if they don't live in forests, they live in mountains, on the beach, on an island, on a da-da-da-da-da. And then you could just keep asking why. And all of a sudden, you've got a story. You've got a character. You've got tension. You've got what they're afraid of, where they're running to, what their goals might be. There's just keep saying why. That's all. So what else? Is there anything else?
There's been a few things back and forth. Yoros is asking, when is a story just something interesting that popped into your head, and when you decide to turn it into a book?
When I start to like the people too much to leave them alone,
that's a good answer.
You do. You start to care. I think about this stuff a lot at night. It keeps me up. Yeah. You just start thinking about them a lot, it just something catches your imagination, something hits home. This particular one, without saying too much about it,
without giving it all away.
I actually had a job once. Yes, I can't say too much about it. It was with no, not even going there. I had a job once. It was a contract. And there was something about that specific job that when we were setting it up, I had a moment of, oh God, this could go so wrong. and it was like, yeah, it really could. Oh, and what if it did? How would that happen? How could this happen? Oh, you know what? I know how this could happen. Oh my goodness. So this was sort of based on work I was doing and skills that I have myself, and not to this degree. More, you're writing bigger, of course, but I was actually working on something one day and went, oh my God, this could go so wrong. And if you want to write stories, you have to do that a lot. I visit places. I'm going to Edinburgh. Oh, my rooms are booked. I am actually going to Edinburgh in June. I'm going to be there for 21 days. I will not be able to eat for the following year, but I'm going to Edinburgh in June.
Aw.
And I will tend to walk around the play. You know, I'll be walking around the city and I'll see a dark alley or a little spot. And, you know, if somebody was killed there, no one would see it. I think
She
like
does
this.
that. She really does. I can vouch for that.
Yeah,
It's a little creepy.
I do. I'm sorry.
So I'm not the only one that does that.
No, yeah, see, that's awesome. That's good. But anyway, we are, we got 40 minutes. That's pretty good. So do you guys in chat, you have anything to say or anything you want to share or anything you're hoping to happen? You guys in chat, you guys in raid call, like, what would you like to see happen? What topics would you like to be talking about next week? What do we do?
Can we maybe talk about beginning a book, because that's for me the hard part.
Okay, I'm sorry, for
Beginning a book.
beginning a book. Yeah, and that it is. That's the scary part, the big blank page of doom. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, wait, Demonac is saying sometimes something just captures your imagination. He was writing a story, the end of my elf video, just a vague... What just happened? Hello? Okay, just, I haven't moved a mouse in so long.
Normally you're playing a game, so
What?
that doesn't happen.
No kidding. I would like you to check
There it is.
donations. That's still something I'm having a hard time looking at, guys. I really... Oh, God, you guys made me cry so hard the other day when Briar talked about, you know, what's happened with this trip. See, I had found a place I could actually afford, which is awesome. And if a lady I know works at a big international hotel chain and said, I guess I'd helped her with her dog's health months back, and she wanted to do something kind in return, and she said, let me see if I can get you a friend and family discount. And it sounds good. And I went, oh, that would be brilliant. It was at a nice hotel right downtown. And she said, you know, we can get it probably for this amount of money, which was saving me money. So I thought, oh, God, that's so kind. So the short version is of 3 weeks of stuff. Yeah, the whole donation thing. Thank you, guys. Actually, I don't even have it open, do I? It's not giving the new stuff. I forget this stuff. I'm still not
that's
thinking in terms
why.
of donations. I'm
Yeah, I
really
didn't
sorry.
see the new one either, so I was
Will that
confused.
go now? Yes. See, there's an anonymous, so now it's changing.
Oh yeah, anonymous. There it is.
60.
See the list.
Well, Mr. or Miss Anonymous.
Oh,
Ever
boy.
you maybe. What was that? Someone just said something.
Yes, somebody said something.
Oh, I just said, oh boy.
Oh,
Oh, there's more.
is there?
Head wound.
Oh, Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan.
There's the anonymous one. See, you guys need to donate when she's offline so
Yeah,
that she
that's
can
right.
cry in private.
Anyway,
But
what,
they want her to cry.
I know.
well,
right?
I was
They're
yeah.
sadistic.
You were.
So what's happened with the trip is that, you know,
Yeah.
I by the time I found out this lady was just never going around to doing anything, I started looking at all the places I'd found before, and they're all booked. I mean, it's Scotland in June, right? It's a marvelous city. Lots of people want to go there, and they're all booked. So I end up spending, I was planning on buying a laptop for this trip because I wanted to share the whole thing with you guys. I've got this idea of, you know, being in a pub with Color Slide and Haig Yorkie. We're doing some live streaming at the pub. You know, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. And I want to do some gaming from there. And I certainly don't want to leave you guys for 3 weeks and just, you know, I can't just walk away and ignore you for
Says
3 weeks.
the introvert over here who, you know, doesn't like people.
But you guys
Really.
are nice. You're so wonderful. God, you're such a huge, you're like the big important part of my life these days. So anyway, yeah, so I end up having to spend literally the full cost of the laptop for extra on the room. So I had a couple of days of, oh my God,
Now what?
I can't go. I don't know if I can actually go anymore. And I was thinking about canceling it, and I was kind of depressed. And, you know, Briarstone said, no, just go. You pay
Are you
for
crazy?
it later.
Yeah.
You just go. You just go. So anyway, but thank you. What are these? Oh, I didn't know this stuff. Look, there's like little messages that come with some of these.
Oh, I didn't
I
realize
never
that either.
knew that, guys.
And she can't get the stupid
When
window
I-
to actually show her.
Aw, you're sweet, you guys. You did a little.
Oh, Miss Carsonell says she'll come to Edinburgh to meet you at some point.
Oh, I'm counting on it, darling. I am so counting on it. That's brilliant. So, social introvert. Yeah, I kind of am. This is, but how do you want to be a writer and actually want to be good at it and be out there and sell books and share and talk. What's weird is I can do public speaking. I have no problem public speaking, but that's like the professional me. That's the me that you see. You have the right outfit. You've got the right look. You're saying the right things. In here, I'm just me, and this is kind of a first. This is a big
And there
first.
goes Miss Carsonell.
Oh, yeah, the Miss Carsonell's donation just showed up there on the...
Yeah, I
She already knew about it.
saw it
from the-
here.
Yeah.
Really, really sweet note. Little he's recent. I gotta read these. I didn't know I could see this.
I had no
So
idea that you could even include some. That's
continue
awesome.
writing, playing games, and living your life beautiful.
Aww.
A little piece to help with the laptop in your church.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh my goodness, guys. Okay, I'll get over this. I swear. I won't be weepy all the time. I will learn to say thank you and not be a big drip. Okay, I promise. I will do that. I will do that. But-
Aha, now I know why Anonymous is on there. They're the ones that booted me off and they don't want to admit it.
Wait, what?
Ah, goodness.
Oh, they booted you off the list. The scrolling. Oh, okay, yeah.
Aw.
They didn't want to get.
Well, I was using that as an incentive earlier. I'm like, whoever donates
goodness.
first gets to boot me off the list.
Oh my goodness, you guys are absolutely. I was gonna name. I thought, if a couple of donations come in, I'll name. If I get the laptop, I'll name it after those people.
She will.
It's going to have the longest name in history.
Yes, it will.
I don't know what to call it. Oh my gosh.
You're gonna have to come up with one word that just means, everybody.
These guys.
somehow.
I know.
Just one short, tidy word that just.
Oh,
isn't-
that's brilliant. That is just absolutely brilliant. You guys are so kind. You're so good. Getting comfortable with us. She's having nervous random things sometime. What kind of laptop are you looking at? I don't even remember. It was... Yeah, I don't remember because I kind of put it out of my head because I thought I can't buy this anymore. So I quit looking at it last week. But,
Oh
gosh.
Mark's commenting, hand is itching. I'm like, no, you'll go bankrupt.
No, Scotty, no. No.
You're
No.
being told
Just
off.
no. Head wound,
What was
no.
it, 55 the first time, 100 all the second time? Like, I don't think he can
Yeah.
afford anymore.
No, you guys have really, I appreciate it and I love you for it, but don't fix it so that I just feel like I have to send it all back because I'm afraid you can't eat. Okay, don't do that.
Yeah, saddling her with guilt about, putting yourselves into poverty, that's not good.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. You guys have been so fabulous to me. This is good. Anyway, it's 10 to 4 and we have some games to play. I've got to get into SimCity and apparently there's been an update, so I'm going to have to wait for a few minutes. So I'm going to take a 10-minute break, guys, and
Oh, Bella.
if somebody donates $300, Katie, I'm just
She'll
going to
fall apart.
close the stream and walk away. I'll be crying.
Damn you, Anonymous. That's another Anonymous. This one, I have a sneaking suspicion, is one of those people you just told we're not allowed to donate anymore, and that's why they went anonymous.
There's...
On to you people. You're awesome, but damn you.
Guys, thank you. I will do my best to make sure that all of this somehow helps you guys. you'll be in Scotland with me. If I'll be walking down the street filming, live streaming, going, look at that building or something. I don't know, but we'll find a way to make sure that you get enough hours of enjoyment back from this to make it a little bit worthwhile. And thank you very, 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 very much. God, I love you to death. So I'm going to go and stop all these recordings, and I will be, fear somebody's going to donate too much. Yeah. It's like, and
Yeah, she just said she may have donated again.
okay. I don't know. Thank you. I thank you. I'm looking at I didn't know I got little pop-ups when people made donations. I just discovered this. So thank you for the messages too, guys. You're brilliant. So I'll be back in 10 minutes. Love you to death. So for those of you in YouTube, boys, see, now this is going to be up on YouTube. The whole world can see me cry forever.
They'll love you for it.
I'll get better. I'll get better. I promise. I'll be a good girl. I'll grow up someday. When I figure out what I want to do when I grow up. That's it. So until I see you next time, live your life happy, build it beautiful. Please leave your comments. See you soon. Bye-bye.